What if everything you've been told about the origins of humanity is wrong? What if our ancient ancestors weren't the only ones who walked the earth? I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill history here. I'm talking about gods, celestial beings, and sky dwellers who might have once ruled over us. Intrigued yet? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving into the legends of the Watchers, the Anunnaki, and the mysterious sky beings that could have been the original rulers of Earth. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh no, not another alien theory, hear me out. These ancient stories have survived for thousands of years, written on stone tablets, passed down through generations, and buried deep in mythological traditions. So, what's the deal? Could it be that these gods were more than just divine figures from ancient religions? Could they have been visitors from the stars? Maybe they're still up there watching us, waiting for the next chapter of humanity to unfold. Stick around as we explore the mysterious beings who could have shaped our very existence. Trust me, you'll want to hear this. And who knows, maybe you'll start to question if your great-great-grandparents were onto something when they said, "I swear I saw a UFO." Let's start with the Watchers. Sounds like something straight out of a superhero movie, right? Well, sort of. These beings are described in ancient texts as divine overseers sent to Earth to, well, watch over us. But here's where it gets interesting. In the Book of Enoch, one of the oldest and most fascinating apocryphal texts, the Watchers aren't exactly your friendly neighborhood guardians. Instead, they're these powerful celestial beings sent from the heavens to guide and teach humanity. But instead of playing by the rules, these Watchers did what any rebellious being would do. They fell in love with human women. You heard that right. According to the Book of Enoch, these angels, or Watchers, depending on your interpretation, not only took human wives, but also shared forbidden knowledge with humanity. Everything from the secrets of the heavens to the art of warfare and cosmetics. Yes, you read that correctly, makeup. So, no surprise that things went downhill fast. Now, before you get too excited about these celestial Tinder dates, you should know that this love affair didn't end well. The Watchers' actions angered God, or whatever higher power you believe in, leading to their eventual fall from grace. And here's the kicker. The consequences were severe. The Watchers were cast into the abyss, and their offspring, the Nephilim, were wiped out in a flood. I'm not saying it's the first time someone got into trouble for dating outside their celestial realm, but hey, there's a moral in there somewhere. But the Watchers weren't just villains in ancient texts. Some scholars believe that these stories were symbolic of a much deeper connection between humans and celestial beings, maybe even extraterrestrials. These ancient gods could have been advanced beings, teaching us everything we know about agriculture, writing, and yes, even makeup. The Watchers weren't just watching, they were teaching, shaping, and leaving their mark on our early civilizations. So, were the Watchers divine guardians sent to guide us? Or were they simply cosmic rebels who couldn't resist a little earthly temptation? You decide. But if nothing else, they sure left behind some interesting stories, and maybe even a few beauty tips along the way. Now that we've got the Watchers covered, let's shift gears and talk about the Anunnaki. These guys were a big deal in ancient Mesopotamian culture, particularly the Sumerians. You could almost call them the celebrities of ancient gods, with their own mythology that's as rich and complex as a Hollywood drama. The Anunnaki were believed to be deities who came down from the heavens to rule over Earth. But unlike your typical gods who just sit in their heavenly thrones and hand out blessings, the Anunnaki weren't just watching from above. No, they were deeply involved in the creation and development of human civilization. From the Sumerians to the Babylonians, these gods were credited with everything from the creation of the first cities to teaching humans how to farm, build, and write. I mean, they weren't just sitting around passing out divine wisdom, they were basically Earth's first life coaches. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Zecharia Sitchin, an author and researcher, came up with the mind-blowing theory that the Anunnaki weren't gods at all, but rather extraterrestrial beings who came from a distant planet called Nibiru. According to Sitchin and other proponents of the ancient astronaut theory, The Anunnaki didn't just rule over us, they may have actually played a hand in creating us. Some say they might have genetically engineered humans as a labor force to mine gold for them. Yeah, that's right, gold. And apparently they didn't mind using a little genetic tinkering to get the job done. But wait, there's more. Sitchin argued that the Anunnaki's planet, Nibiru, has an elliptical orbit that brings it close to Earth every 3,600 years. That means they might have visited us in ancient times, dropped some knowledge on us, and then bounced. Who knew ancient gods were so into cosmic schedules, right? According to this theory, the Anunnaki's presence on Earth could explain a lot of things, like our sudden leap from primitive cave dwellers to advanced civilizations. One minute we're throwing rocks, and the next minute we've got pyramids, advanced mathematics, and writing systems. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe the Anunnaki were behind it all. But here's where it gets even juicier. There's actual archaeological evidence that could suggest the Anunnaki were more than just ancient myths. From the Sumerian cuneiform tablets to Babylonian texts, many ancient writings mention gods with very unusual characteristics. Some descriptions seem to align with advanced technology or even extraterrestrial encounters. We're talking things like flying machines, space travel, and descriptions of beings who didn't exactly look human. But not everyone is convinced. Skeptics argue that these stories are just allegories, attempts by ancient people to explain the unexplainable. Still, the fact remains, the Anunnaki are some of the most intriguing and mysterious figures in ancient history. Whether they were gods, extraterrestrials, or a mix of both, their impact on early human civilization can't be ignored. So, next time someone mentions the gods of ancient Mesopotamia, you can casually drop the Nibiru theory and watch their minds explode. In the end, the Anunnaki left us with more questions than answers. Were they divine beings, or were they just extraterrestrial visitors with some serious ego problems? Maybe they weren't gods in the traditional sense, but they sure had an influence on us. And in a world where ancient civilizations seem to have advanced far faster than we can explain, the Anunnaki might just be the key to unlocking one of humanity's biggest mysteries. Alright, now that we've covered the Watchers and the Anunnaki, let's take a look at another fascinating group of ancient beings, the Sky Beings. And no, I'm not talking about the ones that hang out in the clouds after a long day of work, though that would be cool too. These celestial rulers were often described as divine beings who came down from the heavens and, depending on which ancient civilization you ask, they were either gods, extraterrestrials, or both. One of the most famous stories about sky beings comes from ancient Egypt, where gods like Ra and Horus were believed to have descended from the stars. Ra, the sun god, wasn't just your typical shining bright in the sky kind of deity. According to Egyptian myth, he actually came from a place far beyond our world, the skies to be specific. In fact, Ra was thought to travel across the heavens in a golden bark, lighting up the earth each day and guiding humanity. It's almost like he was the first astronaut, but with a bit more flair and a much cooler wardrobe. And it's not just Egypt that had a celestial connection. In Greek mythology, gods like Zeus and Apollo were considered to have power over the sky, ruling not only from Mount Olympus, but from the heavens themselves. But even more intriguing are the accounts of ancient cultures that believed their gods came from the stars. For example, the ancient Mesopotamians, like the Sumerians and Babylonians, also had gods who were linked to celestial events, with many of them described as sky beings who descended to Earth to teach, rule, and even create humanity. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Across the world, there are countless examples of cultures that believe their gods came from the heavens or sky. The Native American Hopi tribe, for instance, have legends of sky beings known as the Ant People who lived in the stars and helped guide humanity. In Central America, the Maya civilization spoke of the Sky Lords, powerful beings who descended from the stars to rule over the earth. What's fascinating is that, much like the Anunnaki, these sky beings were also credited with teaching humans essential skills. The Egyptians learned agriculture, the Maya mastered astronomy, and many cultures inherited the knowledge of building incredible stone structures like the pyramids and ziggurats. It's as if the sky beings were cosmic mentors, not just bringing divine wisdom, but actively shaping human civilization. So, what's the connection here? Was there really a race of celestial beings flying in from the heavens helping early humans develop? Or is there something else? The idea that ancient people could have been visited by beings from the sky raises a lot of questions, and it's a theory that's not going away anytime soon. Whether gods, extraterrestrials, or something in between, the sky beings' influence is a key part of many ancient mythologies. And it makes you wonder, did they leave more than just stories behind?
All right, by now we've learned about the Watchers, the Anunnaki, and the sky beings, all powerful, mysterious figures that once walked or flew among us. But here's the real kicker. Is there any evidence that these gods were anything more than myth? Let's dive into some of the most intriguing theories and pieces of evidence that suggest these ancient beings may have been more than just divine figures. They could have been extraterrestrial visitors. First up, let's talk about Zecharia Sitchin again. You know, the guy who practically redefined our understanding of the Anunnaki by suggesting they weren't gods at all, but visitors from the distant planet Nibiru. According to Sitchin, these beings may have genetically engineered humans to help them mine gold, and their technology could explain the leaps in human development that we saw in ancient civilizations. Sitchin's theories have caused a lot of debate, but his writings have sparked a whole movement of believers in the ancient astronaut theory. And honestly, it's a theory that kind of makes sense when you think about how quickly human civilization went from stone tools to advanced cities. But Sitchin isn't the only one who's connected ancient gods with extraterrestrials. From the pyramids of Egypt to the strange Nazca lines in Peru, there's no shortage of archaeological sites that have raised eyebrows. How were massive stone structures built without modern technology? Could advanced beings from the sky have helped us out? Some believe that these ancient structures were too precise, too massive, and too advanced for early humans to build without some kind of divine assistance. And then there are the ancient texts, the Sumerian tablets, the Egyptian hieroglyphs, and the Bible itself, all of which describe gods who came down from the sky, had supernatural powers, and left behind strange technologies. Some argue that these writings may be coded accounts of real extraterrestrial encounters, their stories wrapped in religious symbolism. Is it possible that ancient humans were trying to explain advanced technology and knowledge in a way they could comprehend, by labeling it as divine? Let's not forget the UFO sightings. Yeah, you didn't think we'd leave that out, did you? There are numerous accounts from cultures around the world of flying chariots, divine beings descending from the heavens in fiery chariots, and other strange occurrences that seem to fit the description of modern UFO sightings. While many skeptics dismiss these as nothing more than fantasy, the sheer volume of reports from different cultures makes you wonder, could some of these ancient gods have been visitors from another world? So, are we dealing with divine gods, extraterrestrials, or just some really good myth-making? The evidence is compelling, but one thing is certain. Ancient history is full of stories and theories that continue to challenge everything we think we know about our origins. The truth, it seems, might just be more mysterious than we ever imagined. So, after all that, what do you think? Were the Watchers, Anunnaki, and sky beings just mythical gods, or were they something much more? Maybe they were extraterrestrial visitors who helped shape humanity's earliest civilizations. Or maybe they were simply powerful deities with a love for earthly drama. Either way, these ancient figures left behind a legacy that still sparks fascination today. As we wrap up, it's clear that there's no shortage of theories and evidence to consider. From ancient texts to modern interpretations, the connection between celestial beings and early human civilization is a mystery that continues to puzzle historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists alike. Could we be the descendants of cosmic visitors? Or are these stories simply the foundation of cultural beliefs passed down over millennia? Whatever the truth may be, one thing's for sure: the ancient gods aren't going anywhere anytime soon.
They've captured our imaginations for centuries, and their stories will keep inspiring curiosity, wonder, and maybe even a little skepticism. So, what do you think? Were these beings from the stars, or were they just the stuff of myth? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into ancient mysteries, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe the truth is up there waiting to be discovered.